to my channel and to today's video. I hope you're all doing well. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you everything I made in June. I had to check that month then. I keep thinking that it's my July makes, but we've only just got into July, so it's definitely not my July makes yet. It's definitely June. I'm a bit ahead of myself, but yes, today I'm going to be sharing with you everything I made in June. So I have a few sewing makes, one alteration and one knitting project to share with you. And there was quite a lot I got done in this month actually, so I feel quite pleased with myself. So if you're new to my channel, I'm Sally. I post lots about sewing, sometimes knitting and crochet as well, but mainly all about sewing. So lots of makes videos, fabric hauls, things I've been making and things like that. I'd love to have you as a subscriber if you're into those things as well. And if you do regularly watch but you haven't subscribed, I'd love you to consider clicking that subscribe button because it does really help me out. And thank you, of course, if you are already a subscriber and you're a regular viewer of my channel. I really appreciate it. So with all that said, let's get into what I've been sewing and making in June. So I'm going to start today with what I'm wearing actually, because I feel as though I might need to take this off in a minute because I am actually quite hot. So again in England, it is one of those funny summer days where you just don't quite know what the weather's going to be like. We keep waking up to really lovely sunshine and I keep thinking it's going to be a lovely warm sunny day, but often when I get back from the school run it's already clouded over and it's kind of gone cooler, so I'm really not quite knowing how to dress in the mornings because we have to get out quite early and ready and out the door obviously for the school run. Yeah, I just really don't know what to put on at the moment. So I feel as though what I'm about to share with you is a really good one for summer in England. So I'm wearing a new version of the Logan Shacket that I made this month and I absolutely love this version. So I did briefly share in one of my recent sort of crafty catch-up videos. I think I was kind of halfway through making this, or maybe I hadn't quite added the buttons or something. So you maybe will have seen this half done already. But this is Logan Shacket by Stylarc. I know I've shared this pattern before. I'm really worried about oversharing patterns here on this channel because I know that I do share the same patterns quite a lot and I'm sorry about that. So I'll just briefly show you the Logan Shacket pattern. So this is by Stylarc. It's just an oversized sort of traditional style shirt pattern. It has a collar on a collar stand. There are two large patch pockets to the front, a lovely button placket. It's curved at the bottom and there's a yoke at the back. There aren't any cuffs on the sleeves, so it makes the sleeves quite nice and easy to sew together. I absolutely love this pattern, as you'll know if you watch my channel frequently. I've made quite a few different versions now and I'm already planning 2 more, so that's how much I love this pattern. It's a really lovely one and it comes together so quickly and so nicely. So the one I'm wearing today is actually made from a yarn dyed viscose linen, I think. I hope I'm saying that right, but I will just link this fabric down below as well. I got this fabric from Minerva quite a while ago now. It's a really lovely drapey sort of chambray coloured, blue chambray coloured fabric. It's not denim, but to me it looks quite denim or chambray like. And I was looking at my phone one day, as you do, and an advert popped up from Marks and Spencer's and this lovely denim shacket popped up on my feed and I thought, oh, that's really nice, I'd really like one of those. And then remembered that I had this fabric in my stash that I hadn't used. I originally was going to make a pair of paper bag waist shorts with it, but recently and this summer I'm just not really wanting to wear shorts as much. Don't know if that's just because my style is changing or I'm getting older, I don't know. But yeah, I'm just not really quite reaching for shorts anymore. So instead I decided to have a go at making a shacket with this fabric. So I actually forgot how little I did have of this fabric. I only had 1.5 meters and the Logan Shacket pattern does actually call for 2 meters. I already shortened the pattern quite considerably. I've made quite a few alterations to the pattern because it is quite oversized and I'm quite small. So I knew that I needed less fabric than the pattern suggested. But when I came to lay out my pattern pieces to cut out this shirt, I did have to play quite a lot of pattern Tetris to get it all to fit. And I ended up cutting these sleeves sort of off the grain, so the other way round to what the grain line should be. I don't know yet whether that matters too much or not, but I decided to just go for it and get it done, and at the moment I can't see any problem with it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with this. I think it's a really good one for just layering over things really. So today I'm just wearing it with a white t-shirt, a pair of black leggings, a pair of trainers when I go out, and it's a really nice sort of layering piece, so I can take this off if I get too hot. And it's just kind of lightweight enough to be a nice cover up for our strange summer days that we have here in England. I even put it over a dress. And I'll just pop an image in here to show you what it looks like over a dress as well. And I also paired this with a pair of sapphire trousers and a t-shirt, and I thought that worked really well as well. So I think this one is going to be a good one, and I love this colour. I just think it goes with everything. Oh, I just mentioned the buttons that I used actually, because I think last time I shared this I hadn't put the buttons on. So if I come closer to the camera, you can see that I've just gone for some sort of indigo blue, almost denim-like buttons. And I just actually picked those up from Hobbycraft. Yeah, and they were just nice and easy, and they went really nicely. So that's my first make, my Logan Shackets. So the next thing I have to share is actually more of an alteration. So in a recent video, I think it was my crafty catch-up video actually, where I shared about this shirt, I was wearing this indigo dress, which I've mashed together with the skirt, the tiered skirt from the Lyra dress. Both patterns by Tilly and the Buttons, and they work together really nicely, I think, to make a nice sort of midi maxi dress. So that's a hack that I've done quite a lot. So this one's made from a really nice drapey viscose fabric. I love this fabric. It's from Stop and Still, or Self-Made as they're now called. It's a really lovely pretty fabric, but as I shared in my video, I just wasn't really reaching for this dress. And I think the reason for that was it's quite oversized, and I just felt as though it kind of looked and felt a little bit kind of frumpy on me, and I think it's because the indigo neckline comes up quite high, and the way that it hung with the shorter bodice, almost like baby doll style, I don't know, I just felt as if it looked a bit like maternity wear maybe. I just wasn't quite happy in it. So I shared in my video that I was planning to add some waist ties to this dress, and that's what I've done here. So I'll just undo the ties that I've made. So you can see it's quite a sort of an oversized dress, and I think, yeah, just where it fell on my waist, I just didn't really feel comfortable in it. So I checked in my fabric scrap basket just to see if I had any of this fabric left over, and thankfully I did. So one afternoon I just spent half an hour just making up a couple of waist ties to attach to where the end of my bodice is on my dress, to just bring the dress in under the waist. And I literally just cut these long ties 5 centimeters by whatever the length of my fabric was, so I made them as long as I possibly could basically. Sewed them together into a little tube and turned them through and pressed them, and then I've just attached them directly onto the right side of my bodice, just at the end of where the seam kind of hits the skirt. And I can't tell you what a difference that has made. I know that I'm definitely not the first person to try that hack on the indigo dress. I think quite a few people actually add ties to it because they do feel like the dress is quite oversized and baggy. So this is definitely quite a popular hack to do. It's not one I've tried before because I haven't felt the need to in other dresses. I felt like, you know, they fit okay, but for some reason in this one, I just wasn't really feeling comfortable in it. And since I've made that change, I've worn this dress so much more. I've worn it, well, obviously it's not been that long, but I have worn it a couple of times since I recently shared it and shared about how I wasn't feeling comfortable in it. So I'm really pleased that I took the time, all of half an hour I think it was, to put those waist ties in, and it really has made such a difference. The next thing I made was my Davenport top. So this is a hack that I made using the Davenport Dress pattern by Friday Pattern Company. So here's another very overshared pattern on my channel, the Davenport Dress by Friday Pattern Company. If you've not seen it, it's a lovely boho style dress with lots of frills and drawstring waist, a frilled skirt if you make the dress version. You can also make sort of cap frill sleeves as well. It's a really lovely pattern, and I've used it many times and hacked it around quite a lot, and I absolutely love it. So for this hack, I've decided to make a top using the Davenport dress pattern, and all I've done here is simply lengthen the bodice parts of the dress pattern. So I've used the front and back bodice pieces, and I originally lengthened them quite a lot to bring them down to sort of top length rather than short waist length as they are in the dress, because obviously the bodice parts are actually tied up with a drawstring at your waist, so I needed to lengthen them quite a lot to make it into a top. And then I've made the top up exactly as you would if you were making the dress, and I've attached the sleeves using the long sleeve pattern. I've just shortened the pattern quite a lot to bring them up into cute little elastic sleeves, elasticated sleeves. So they look like little puff sleeves when they're on. So I won't talk too much about this one because I do have a video, a sewing day in my life video, where I was making up this top. So if you want to see more of the sewing process and how I altered the pattern and everything, I'll link that video down below as well. But yeah, I really do love this actually. I did share in my video that initially when I tried it on, I wasn't too sure whether I liked it. But after a couple of wears of this and trying it with different things, I think it pairs really nicely with a pair of wide leg jeans that I've got. I think it will also look really nice with shorts and things. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. Next hack I want to try with this pattern is actually to make a sleeveless version, so I really do need to have a go at that this summer at some point if I get time with all the other things I want to make. But yeah, this fabric is lovely, isn't it? This is a viscose fabric from Felicity Fabrics. It's a beautiful sort of coral pink background with lots of pretty white and black floral flowers, little flowers, and spots and things all over it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that one. It was a really nice hack to try. I did the burrito method as instructed in the pattern as well, so it's all finished really nicely inside. So that's that one, my Davenport top. So next is a make that's quite new actually, and I haven't even shared this yet over on Instagram because it is that new. I made myself another version of the Myosotis Dress by Deer and Doe, but this time I wanted to try doing the actual sort of frilly sleeve part of the pattern. I'll just show you the pattern now if you haven't seen it. So this is the Myosotis Dress by Deer and Doe. So you can see that it's a really lovely, it's a shirt style bodice with a mandarin style collar, and you can make it short sleeved or you can make it short sleeved but with this added flounce on the bottom of the sleeves, which is really pretty, but it's not a version I've tried before. You can also make it with a plain sort of straight, not straight but gathered skirt, or you can make it with a skirt and a frill, which is this version here. So this time I decided that I wanted to use these sleeves, and I had a bit of a think about how I wanted the skirt to be. And originally I did think that maybe I would make another tiered skirt and have it kind of midi length again, but with two sort of nice floaty tiers, a little bit shorter maybe than my original or previous version that I made of the Myosotis Lyra hack, which was quite sort of long and midi length. I wanted it a little bit shorter, but with two tiers. In the end, I decided not to do that because I have made a lot of tiered things lately, and I thought I would have a change and I'd just go for this skirt, but with the nice flouncy sleeves. Here it is. So I originally did cut the skirt quite long. Ooh. This skirt, I did cut it quite long because I wasn't sure quite how long or short I wanted the dress, so I decided to make it longer initially so that I could cut it up shorter if I wanted to. So yeah, here's my bodice with the lovely frilly flouncy sleeves. I've made it up exactly as the pattern suggests with no hacks or alterations or anything. It is quite an oversized pattern, but I think it's quite nicely oversized on me. I always make the smallest size, and yeah, I find that that fits me really nicely. I'm actually a bust 32 inches and the pattern actually in the smallest size is drafted for a bust 31.5, so I'm slightly larger than the pattern suggests for the smallest size, but because the pattern is quite oversized, I think it's fine. So always with this pattern, I think check the finished garment measurements against your own measurements just to see how it's going to sew up and how big it's going to be, because it is quite an oversized dress. So just check how you want it to feel once you've made it up rather than only going on your own measurements. So yeah, so I've done the bodice with the flouncy sleeves. I tried this on when it was really long to see if I wanted it sort of midi or maxi length, and with the flouncy sleeves it just looked like so much fabric. So in the end I decided to cut it up shorter, so this just comes just below my knee I think, which is a really nice length. It's not too short, not too long either. This fabric was from Abercombe Fabrics. It was given to me as part of their new summer range to try out, and it's taken me ages to get around to making anything with it, so I'm really sorry, Abercombe Fabrics, for that. But I'm really pleased with how this looks. I love this fabric and I love this gypsy floral style, and it matches so nicely with my new nail colour as well. So yeah, I've not worn this one yet because it's so new and we haven't really had the weather to wear it yet either. But I do think this one will be a really good one for really hot weather because it's really nice and floaty and cool. So yeah, I'm pleased with that one, and I'm pleased that I've had a go at the flouncy sleeves as well because they were really nice to make. Lastly, in sewing makes, I've only just recently shared this one in last week's video, so I'll try not to babble too much about this one, although I do absolutely love it. It's my Lyra / Safiya jumpsuit. So this is a hack that I made for the Sew Mashup challenge that made by Craft and I are running over on Instagram. I will link the video down below where I go into more detail about the challenge. There are loads of prizes up for grabs. The challenge is running throughout the month of July, so there's plenty of time to get involved if you still want to. And the idea is that you sew up a brand new garment using 2 patterns that you mash together to produce something new. So in my case here, I have used the Lyra dress bodice by Tilly and the Buttons. You can tell that's one of my most used patterns, can't you? And I've attached it to the sapphire trousers from the book Make It Simple by Tilly and the Buttons. And I've given it a drawstring waist. So I'll link the video down below where I go into much more detail about how I made the pattern, or how I made this garment and what I did to adapt the pattern pieces and everything. But as this is a June make, I wanted to just mention it as one of my makes for June. This fabric is from Stop and Still. It's a viscose and it's such lovely quality. It really presses nicely and everything. It was just so nice to work with, as some fabrics are. Didn't shift around too much or anything like that. It was just perfect, really. So that's that one, my Lyra Safiya mashup, and I love this one, and already my mind is thinking about other versions I'd like. I'd love to make a plain black version of this actually, and just have it from a viscose linen or something. I think that would look really nice, or even like a chambray version or something would look good as well. So that's that one, my latest mashup, which I really love. So lastly, in makes for June, I have my knitting make to share with you, which is my finished Whitmore cardigan. So this is the Whitmore cardigan by Stylarc Studios. I'll link the pattern down below and just quickly pop in an image here so you can see what the cardigan looks like. So yeah, this was a pattern that I've wanted to knit for quite a while, and if you followed me for a while you might remember that last year I did actually do a make 9, which wasn't very successful, but I had a go at it. And on that make 9 I had the Whitmore sweater by Stylarc Studios, which is basically just a sweater version of this pattern, this lace yoke here. But because I'd not knit anything completely in the round before, I was a little bit nervous to jump straight in with the sweater version, and I decided to have a go at the cardigan just to familiarise myself with this lace pattern and have a go at knitting a cardigan top down. I have knit one cardigan top down before. I knit the petite knit novice cardigan, and that was it's a really nice way to do it. I like knitting top down. It is a bit of a labour of love, I guess, because I find it a little bit awkward to manoeuvre everything around when you've got so much knitting. But in terms of sort of being able to fit it as you go and everything, I just love knitting in the round, and I love the fact that you don't have to sew it up at the end, which I love because I hate sewing knitting up. I really don't like it at all. I never really feel as though I make a very good job of it, and my seams are often bulky and everything. So yeah, it's a really nice way to knit if you don't like seaming up like me. So yeah, here it is. I'm absolutely thrilled with this, really. I'm so pleased with how the lace came together. This lace, it wasn't too difficult to knit at all. I know lots of people have asked me how I found knitting the lace and said that it looks really complicated and everything. I'm not a massive lace knitter. I am getting a bit more into lace knitting and I really enjoy it when I do it. I found this absolutely fine because I think the pattern is written really nicely and really clearly, and everything's set out with stitch markers as well. So in terms of sort of how many stitches you knit to make each part of the pattern, you're always counting with your stitch markers and you know really easily where you are in the pattern, which I thought was a really, really good way to do it. Often when I've knit lace in the past, you're just always counting your stitches, and if ever you feel like you've gone wrong or anything, you need to go back and count from where you started kind of thing. But with this, because you've always got your stitch markers in, you know really where you are and you know if you've gone wrong. So that was a really good way to do it. And actually I didn't really make any mistakes at all in this because I always kind of knew where I was. I did actually put a lifeline in at some point, which is where you just thread a piece of yarn through, so that if you ever do need to undo lace, which is a nightmare, you can always just sort of rip back to where you've put your lifeline in and pick up from there. But thankfully I didn't actually need to unpick that much, even though I did put a lifeline in, so that was good. So yeah, the yoke obviously took some time, because when you are knitting a yoke, you've got an awful lot of stitches on your needle. At one point I think I was up to nearly 300 stitches when you get to the widest part of the yoke, but then when you separate for the sleeve, it started to come together then really quickly. Yeah. And also the button band on this is actually knit as you go on some separate DPN needles, which, if you remember back when I started this cardigan, I did find really awkward. But I did find that as I sort of went along with the knitting, you kind of get used to it. And yeah, and it was really, really nice to have that button band already done when I got to the end of the cardigan and not have to knit a separate one or pick up any stitches or anything. So yeah, I think I am a convert to that method. I know quite a few people said to me, why don't you just knit it on the end of the row kind of thing with the same needles, but I think now I've finished the cardigan I can see why it's knit on smaller needles, because obviously you would normally knit a button band on smaller needles, wouldn't you, and it just sort of sits nicer and it's not too baggy. So I did have trouble trying to decide on buttons for this cardigan, and in the end I went for these vintagey inspired buttons. It was a nightmare to try and match this dusky pink colour. I just couldn't find anything that went with it properly, really, so I needed to go for some kind of contrast, so that's what I've gone for. I think they work really nicely. The only thing I'd say about this pattern overall is that it did come up quite small on me, so particularly with the arms, they're actually quite tight. Not too tight, but I think if I make this again, especially for a winter version, I think I'll definitely size up, because yeah, the arms particularly, they are quite tight and I'm not quite sure why. I did do a tension swatch and everything. Yeah, it's by no means sort of unwearable or anything, it's just quite fitted. So this was the yarn I used for the cardigan. It's by Stylarc. I got it from Lovecraft, and it's a natural yarn from Stylarc, bamboo and cotton, and it's double knitting weight, so you knit it on 4mm needles. So yeah, that was really nice to knit with, and it's quite a cheaper yarn as well, so it was really a good one, and it didn't cost me too much to make that cardigan, so that's nice, and I'll link that down below. It does come in quite a lot of different colours. So yeah, you don't have to have this dusky pink. There are lots of other colour options, and I feel like it's quite nice to have a cotton one for summertime as well, so I'm really pleased that I got that done in time to wear it for spring and summertime. So those are all my makes for June. I hope you like them. I'm really pleased with what I made this month actually, and I did get quite a lot done, and I'm so pleased to have my Whitmore cardigan done and finished, and it didn't take me half as long as I was expecting it to either. I do have another knitting project ready to go actually, but I'm crocheting something at the moment, which I think I will share soon in a crafty catch-up video, because I've got a couple of things to share and a few things on the go that I'd like to share with you. So thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it a like as well, because that does help me out with YouTube. As always, in the comments, just let me know what you've been making this month. I'd love to know. Take care everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!